in as well too. So I'll definitely be interested to hear what everybody got to say tonight. Go ahead and share your thoughts, your opinion. It's like I said, this is something that and Newsweek published this article maybe a couple of days ago, but I know I saw something about it last week as well too. I think the Mississippi Today actually initially talked about what was going on. So I just want to go ahead and share it with y'all in case you haven't heard. Shout out to you, Black Native and Dark Angel, for sale. We're gonna go ahead and we just gonna get it rolling, and then we'll go ahead for everybody that's coming up in the space. I was gonna wait a little bit, but hey, let's go ahead and get it. It's a late night space, and then when they come up in the space, I'm sure me, you, Ray, Leon, we can, Professor, we can hold it down. We start getting more of our people come in, Black Native as well too. So this is a trip here. Ray, go ahead and mute your mic for a second. I'm hearing a little bit of feedback from you. Real quick, this article was published by Newsweek. It was curated by one of our partners, Neo Jim Crow, and it's on the Newstoter.com platform. If you guys look up in the jumbotron on the far right, you can get to this actual article. If you're on YouTube and you go into the actual description, the actual link to the article is also in there as well too. It's titled "Mississippi Republicans Want Separate Police Force for White and Black Areas." Mississippi's Black community was incensed earlier this week after the state lawmakers proposed to create a separate justice system within the city of Jackson that would overrule the majority Black city council and put a large swath of the local justice system completely in the hands of state officials who are all white. As reported by the Mississippi Today, the legislation would allow the state's white Chief Justice of Mississippi Supreme Court, its white Attorney General, and the white State Public Safety Commissioner to appoint new judges, new prosecutors, new public defenders, and new police officers to oversee a new district in the city encompassing all of the city's majority white neighborhoods, effectively creating a separate justice system for whites in what is statistically considered the blackest city in America. And it would do so without any of those officials receiving a single vote of support from any resident from Jackson, 80% whom are black. It reminds me of apartheid, said Jackson Mayor Lumumba, who told the website Tuesday. Newsweek has contacted Lumumba for comment, as well as all three of the bill's principal sponsors, who claim on the floor of Mississippi legislature that the foremost aim of the bill was public safety amid concerns of crime rates in Jackson. However, some legal observers describe the effort by the Mississippi legislature as an attempt by the white conservative politicians to erode the black vote in a way that has not been seen since the Jim Crow era. Many of the Republican lawmakers who voted for the bill notably occupy districts that are currently under dispute by groups like the American Civil Liberties Union for diluting the black vote, while others noted that the area's relatively low crime rate compared to the rest of the state offered little justification for a police force separate from Jackson's. I'm shocked by this, Bill Quigley, a professor of law at Loyola University, New Orleans, and a former litigator for the NAACP Fund, told Newsweek. I know of no other such legislation in judicial elections or selections in decades. This is not a step backwards. This is a complete Olympic level broad jump backwards to Jim Crow era politics. Such a system, Quigley said, was the rule for decades in the South until the passage of the 1965 Voting Rights Act, formally prohibiting arbitrary rules like poll taxes and literacy tests designed to bar Black Americans from the poll. And under that law, the Mississippi legislature's latest proposal will likely be found unconstitutional under its merits as having a clear racial bias under the protections provided by the 14th Amendment of the United States Constitution. Lumumba, as he told The Nation magazine upon his election in 2020, sought to transform Jackson into the most radical city on the planet, introducing policies like universal basic income, a reformed police department, and other progressive policies. With many of his policy promises undelivered, not to mention his administration crippled by crisis after crisis, Lumumba has found himself under constant scrutiny from Mississippi's conservative establishment, even earning the label of incompetent from troubled Republican Governor Tate Reeves at a pre-Thanksgiving turkey pardoning last fall. This city was once a great city, and it has potential to be a great city again, Reeves said at the time, blaming the mayor and his administration for a series of woes, including crime, its broken water system, and other issues. The protections under the VRA that would have protected Jackson, however, have been eroded over time with upcoming cases in the conservative-led U.S. Supreme Court, Murrow versus Milligan, expected to chip away at those protections even further. Any challenge to Mississippi's proposed law under that scenario, Quigley said, will likely be an uphill battle. Let me go ahead, DJ. I see you trying to come up, so let me go ahead and approve you and get ready to bring you up here as a co-host as well, too. The city would first need to prove clear racial bias. Then the city would need to establish that the state broke the law in imposing new regulations for one specific jurisdiction, in this case, Jackson, intended to single them out for political retribution. State leaders had recently been highly critical of Lumumba's administration, and in particular, the liberal leanings of the city, potentially creating cause to claim the move was politically motivated. The only problem, Mississippi, unlike other states, does not have a clause in its constitution barring laws specifically targeting one group, complicating any legal challenge the city might have in the absence of any evidence that was done with a racial purpose. People tend to do things for racial reasons as much as they used to, and so the courts kind of often will conclude that their hands are tied. Fred Smith Jr., a scholar of the federal judiciary at Emory University, told Newsweek. It's concerning to see from the perspective of democracy. While in some ways it's not as bad as declaring succession, it is also in the sense people's taxes are being invested in a system they cannot democratically control. Potentially more concerning is how common the practice has gotten. In cities like Portland, business improvement districts funded by local business leaders have brought privately run police forces and courts into the role of policing public spaces, unaccountable to the same groups they purport to serve and protect. In Washington, D.C. this week, Tennessee Republican Senator Bill Hagerty introduced legislation to block legislation passed by the local city council to lower penalties for a number of violent criminal offenses, calling the decision enacted by local lawmakers irresponsible erosion of public safety. And after an elected Democrat refused to enforce state law banning transgender health care, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis suspended him indefinitely, essentially using his authority to override the whims of the local electorate. What's taking place in Jackson, Smith said, is a gross distortion of an already disturbing trend. Even if you take race out of the story entirely, it's disturbing, he said. From the perspective of local democracy and a jurisdiction being able to have some level of autonomy over people that didn't elect them is concerning. So, in a nutshell, we got a bunch of white folks in Jackson, Mississippi, who are the minority looking to actually go ahead and just pretty much be policed by their cronies. And the black folks that live in Jackson, Mississippi, really, they trying to take it out of that. Like, none of these people that they trying to put in these places would have been elected or been approved or picked out by any of the actual citizens that live in Jackson. So a city that's 80% black is going to be controlled by a few. How it got to that point, I have no idea. Jackson, Mississippi has been in the news for the last couple years, the last year, especially because of the water system. And we just see the actual political games that's being played there. They're taking complete control, complete power away from black folks that live there. 80% of the city is supposed to be black. Yet you're talking about having a police force. And not only that, but the police force is going to, the people that they're going to actually have in this new police force is going to actually just control basically and just police the white areas. So, I mean, they're going to put they're going to find a way to go ahead and put these people in positions of power. And nobody seems to have an issue with it because Mississippi is and always will be the most racist state in the union. DJ, I know you said that New Jersey is the most racist state, but New Jersey, I'm sorry to tell you, New Jersey ain't got nothing on Mississippi. Not historically, not even to this day. There's no state in this country still more racist than Mississippi. I don't give a damn what anybody say.
I think Mississippi has the Slave Act, if I'm not mistaken. I don't even think they abolished it yet.
I know that it's them and a couple other states.
Alabama and Mississippi right there together, bro. I'm just gonna be honest
with you. Yeah, Alabama's up there too. But Mississippi, I don't know, that old Dixie and Whistling Dixie and all that stuff. Mississippi, as bad as Alabama is, I don't care. Mississippi's just at a whole nother. I'm sorry, Mississippi is at a whole nother level. As bad as Alabama, they neck and neck, but I think you always have to get an edge to Mississippi, man. And nothing. A few years ago, Mississippi, back in the early 2000s, mid 2000s, Mississippi had a damn high school prom that was still segregated. I remember they had that on the news. They still had segregation going on at the damn high school prom.
That was here in Alabama too. That was happening in both states because over here, back in the '90s, y'all, it was a big controversy that came out of Randolph County, Alabama, the city of Redari, Alabama. There was a principal over there, Houlihan Humphreys. Remember that name because it was big on CNN. It was just that big in the news, where they were still having a segregated prom. That was a interracial couple that was planning on coming to the prom. I think it was a white boy and a black girl. And this man, Houlihan Humphreys, decided to basically he wanted to separate the prom because he didn't want to see the two or interracial mixing, I should say. And he said that he was doing it really to protect the kids because that was the old heads in town that didn't really want to see it. So he was doing it because people in the town didn't want to see these interracial couples together. But yeah, that was big news in Alabama, man. I think it was also the case in same thing over in Mississippi too.
Think about this for a second here. It says that the legislation would allow the state's white Chief Justice of the Mississippi Supreme Court, its white Attorney General, and a white state public safety commission to appoint new judges. So you got three powerful white people in position that they're going to go ahead and allow them to go ahead and start making hires and appointing people and this and that. So these three people, the white Supreme Court Justice in the state of Mississippi, the white Attorney General, and the white state public safety commissioner, they're giving them the power to appoint new judges, new prosecutors, new public defenders, and new police officers to oversee a new district encompassing all of the city's majority white neighborhoods. I mean, you can't really even write this up as a script here. And if you wrote this up as a script, people would say that this was nonsense. They're going to sit up here and they totally season power up here. They're going to make sure that this is how you can be the minority in America and still dominate. You're going to sit up here and you're going to go ahead and you're going to get three of the most powerful white folks in Mississippi to go ahead, create this entire new police force so they can go ahead and police the good white folks in Mississippi. And and they're talking about new public defenders, new police officers. All of these people, the bulk of these people are going to be white as well too. So even if you get some black police officers that's hired, that we see how the black police officers can act. So totally going to undermine this city even more so than what it's been. You cannot. If you wrote this as a script, people would say that, hey, this doesn't make any sense what you're writing here. But this is they're actually going to go ahead and try to do this. 80% of this city is black.
It's like the brown shirts.
Yeah, 80%. Bruh, 80% of the city is black. And this is what's going to take place. I mean, this is frightening. That's why when people get excited, they say about that, they're talking about that, yeah, in the year 2055 or 2045 or whatever, that white folks are going to be the minority and this and that. I say, I guess you guys don't really look at what's going on in the world, because white people have been the minority in everybody's life in this space in South Africa for forever. Yet they control all the resources. Sitting up here talking about that white folks are going to be the minority and this and that or whatever. Even white folks become the minority in America, they're still going to control the power structure unless something drastically changes. And they're showing you right here, this is how they're going about doing this. You're going to sit up here and you're going to take three high-level white folks, all of them white, so they can go ahead and they can have their little nest egg protected, by other white folks. They're going to go ahead, they're going to get the judges, they're going to get the prosecutors, they're going to get the public defenders, they're going to get the police officers. I mean, what else is there to say about on this right here? This is in Mississippi. If this can happen to a city that's 80% black, that's got a black mayor, that as black as I don't know what's going to happen in cities that's where it's 12% black, 13% black, 10% black. Even if you're in a city that's 25 or 30% black, What real power do you have? Volvo and Ray. I'm gonna let you go, Volvo, and then Ray, we're gonna get to you. Go ahead, Volvo.
I just want to say that actually is not a bad idea if they want to police themselves, but they should move somewhere where they not around us. You know what I mean? I remember back in the day, not back in the day, about a couple years ago, about 5 years ago, some guy got in trouble. He said he wanted to build an all-white town somewhere up there in the northwest. I'm for that. I'm for that. I'm sorry. I'm a separatist. I don't know if I'm being too radical on your page, but I'm a separatist, brother. I believe, huh?
That I definitely agree with that. It was on the episode of I think Orlando and Shahrazad on the white supremacists.
Hey, I couldn't hear nothing you said, bro.
Yeah, your phone was kind of it's kind of like the sound of it, Ray, was kind of sound a little bit distorted almost.
Let me say this. Let me say this. We need to chip in and get Ray a new phone, man. I got a hot 20 on it, man. Can we do anything for him, please? What was I saying? Oh yeah, they wanted to build a town up in an all-white town. I'm for that, bro. I'm for that. I don't believe that these people are going to change or anything like that. So I mean, if they want to, I'll say they should leave Jackson. Leave Jackson then. Leave. Go somewhere and you want to police yourself and make it known. I'm for segregation. I really am. I believe in separating away from people's bullshit. You know what I mean? Like, there's certain people I don't hang with because I don't want to be around their bullshit. There's certain people in my family that I don't go around because I don't want to be around their bullshit. I don't see nothing wrong with that. You know what I mean? So I believe that if they want to police themselves, go somewhere else and do that shit. Go somewhere else and do it. I ain't got no problem with that. I don't believe in let's be all one and let's be all inclusive. No, I believe in separation. And as far as you made a point about white people being a minority, but that ain't gonna mean nothing, right? Because another reason why it ain't gonna mean nothing is because for some reason white people got a spell on the whole planet. Everybody worship them. They can do anything they want to these people, and these people will act like they not doing nothing. Notice this: the Latinos don't got no smoke for white people. The Asian ain't got no smoke for white people. The African ain't got no smoke for white people. Well, the Arab ain't got no smoke for white people. And historically, the white folks did all them wrong. So all these people live here now. All these people live in this country. They not about to have no smoke for white people. So just because they the minority, that don't mean nothing. They still got the good name. They still got the good white skin that everybody worships. So it ain't going. What am I trying to say? It ain't this. I actually agree with them wanting to police themselves, but you can't police yourself and live around me, because then we can't trust you to be honorable. If you commit a crime against a black person and there's only white people policing you, well then you ain't gonna be honorable. I'm not gonna get justice. You know what I mean? So my land there, brother. I appreciate you letting me speak.
No problem. Let me give a shout out real quick to Brother McCoo for his contribution on Cash App. Let me just add this part right here, what you were saying, Bovo, and I'm gonna kick it to Scipia and Professor. I agree with you if they were gonna move out of and Ray, I'm sorry, you had your hand up too. So Ray, you'll be next. But I agree with you if these people were talking about moving out of Jackson. But here's the problem, Volvo. They're talking about having their own little enclave in the city of Jackson, which is a predominantly black city, but they're talking about having these three white folks go ahead, these three powerful white men in Mississippi, go ahead and make all the appointments. And like I said, we're talking about hiring, we're talking about appointing new judges, prosecutors, public defenders, and police officers. Now, how is that going to impact black people when you go to court and the judges, predominantly all of the judges are white? The people that's going to be defending you, the public defenders are white. Most of the police officers, if they're going to be protecting white folks, we know most of them are going to be white as well too. You may have a few black folks sprinkle in there, whatever, but we know most of them going to be white as well too. So how is that? That's the only thing, is that they're not talking about packing up, leaving. They talk about, no, we're going to live in this city. We're gonna have our own special protection force. Basically, they're gonna secure us. And it said from the article that they're gonna be. I mean, this is gonna be in the city's majority white neighborhoods. So you're talking about protecting the majority white neighborhoods with your own special law enforcement. So you got the law, you got the judges in your pocket, you got the prosecutors in your pocket, you got the public defenders in your pocket, and you got the cops. Every level in the criminal justice system in this city of Jackson, Mississippi, these people will control and run and do whatever they want to do. So that's the issue that I have with it right there. That's not a good thing for black folks. I can just see the amount of black people that they'll be going ahead and be arresting left and right. You're gonna have these crappy public defenders up here having you take BS plea deals. The prosecutors are gonna try to give you as much time as possible. The judges are gonna be extremely biased. And let's be honest here. We're talking about the state of Mississippi, the most racist, peckerwood, redneck state that's ever been in the United States of America. So I don't like that at all. These black people, and I know they have a lot going on there. These black people in Jackson, Mississippi, they need to fight this tooth and nail. They should not let this go. Make as much public stink as possible. I know it's going to be hard, but that's a bad thing too. That even though Mississippi has a lot of black people, you can see until you start getting into the actual state legislature, you're still behind the eight ball there. So we still got to find ways to get into state government as well. I know federal government is important too, but we gotta in state government you need some representation as well too. Let me go ahead and kick it to Ray. Then we'll go to Cynthia, Professor, and Terrence. Ray, go ahead and unmute your mic.
All right, is this better?
It's a lot better.
All right, cool. So I was just gonna add something really, really quick while the professor was talking. You guys were talking about Mississippi. A lot of people don't know this, but Mississippi was actually, I believe, the last state to abolish slavery. And that happened, I think, in like 1995, 96. So I want to add that with one more note. Oh, we were talking about that all-white town. That was up in North Dakota. Sister Sherazade Ali, she went on Donahue or Geraldo, one of those shows. I can't remember, back in the 90s. They were talking about having that all-white town or whatever. And the guy that wanted to do it, he was a confirmed white supremacist. Like, he was open with it and everything. Talking about how he was an Aryan and all this other good stuff, man. So they decided to do a blood test on him. Come to find out he's like 40% black. I'll land right there. That's the only thing I want to add to what you guys were talking about.
40% black. I'm surprised that he was able to pass for white almost, but nonetheless, I guess he was. He was able to pass for white and do all kind of underhanded crap. Scipia, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Hey, thank you. Shout out to the host and the co-host, everybody in the room. And Newstoter, I want to answer your question. At least start off open with that. Where you said what would happen when, blacks are like 12-14% of the population, where they want to start these little illegal police scams at, look at California, it's already happening. You have illegal aliens, and I call it like that. But if you want me to respect your space, I'll say migrants. But
no, that's fine.
but you have these illegal aliens crossing the border and already being offered and given badges and being deputized. So I mean, we're over there on the West Coast, definitely screwed. Over here, it's looking kind of bad. But I have to agree with the previous gentleman that spoke. I mean, okay. And I hear what you're saying too, Newstoter, about fighting the tooth and nail. But you know what? It gets to a point to where, people can just move around. I mean, I know people might not be able to afford to, but in times of, adversity, people can pool their resources and go somewhere else. I mean, if they got to stay in Mississippi, go to Starkville. I mean, I don't know how bad Starkville is compared to Jackson. I think all of Mississippi is bad. I agree with y'all. That's like the number one most racist place probably on the face of the earth. But, I mean, take away their power source. Take away their tax base. I mean, and let those few, small percentage of those white folks, go ahead and power that whole city. And yeah, if they want to make it, me personally, if they say, if the blacks voluntarily leave there and then they want to put up borders and say no blacks allowed, fine, let them have it. Because you know what? Those white folks won't be there long. You know, they cannot survive, you know, without our presence, you know. And I mean, I know it sounds kind of extreme and far-fetched, but you get to a point to where enough is enough, but you have to just separate from these assholes and, you know, put as much air between you and them as possible, and then just let them, you know, starve themselves of oxygen because they won't get it, you know, without us. So I land there.
Thank you, Scipio. And what you're saying may have some merit in it. I mean, I know you probably had people that's been staying there who knows how many generations. And one thing we know is that Mississippi is the poorest state still in the union. So it'd be interesting. I don't know if like you were saying, financially, if people can pack up and leave or even just move to another city. But you know, that you know, and sometimes when stuff like this happens, you wonder if that's not really the whole cause that they're trying to drive these black people up out of these cities and stuff. A lot of times they want to push black people out of certain areas. And I wonder with just the water crisis and everything that's been going on in Jackson, you know, if that's not also a plan of theirs as well, to just go ahead and push them and just move them on out of there and move themselves in there. Because if you did have a bunch of black people live and stuff like that, don't be surprised if Jackson didn't go ahead and get the water system fixed and they started getting all kind of federal funding and everything else, state funding to build it up and stuff like that. So I just like to see the people in there enjoy themselves and enjoy the quality of life. But I don't want to see them run like that. My girl Casey was saying that, or Casey was saying that on YouTube. Like, don't run, stay and fight. And I kind of agree with that. Like, as much as the people of Mississippi have been through, like, don't just pack it up and leave. Like, go ahead and fight. Just don't give up yet, because I think that you can actually, with 80%. Here's the thing, like, if we in the city and it's 80% of us and we still get our ass kicked, it just, I mean, what does that really tell us, man? I mean, in terms of morale, how does that help us in a city that's 80% black? And are we really going to let, in a city that's 80% black, are we really going to let these white people just take total control of local politics, complete control? They're going to have, like I say, everything will be white control if they go ahead and do this plan like that. So I'm hoping that they go ahead and they fight and they just don't leave. But, you know, after a while, people getting beat on after a while, you know, you can't blame them if they do leave, but I hope they don't. That's just my personal opinion. I hope that they stay and they don't leave. So let me go ahead and get it to you, Professor. Go ahead and unmute your mic.
Yeah, thank you, Newstoter. And I just want to say peace, power, and reparations to everybody in space. Good to see that brother Leon. Good to see you, Sister Tony. No taxation. See brother Black Majority, Sister Trouble. Good to see you down there. You ain't causing no trouble, right? That's right. And of course, there's Black Native up in here, brother Muko, Sister Buffy, everybody. Now, with that being said, Newstoter, I agree with you, man. I think you have to take a stand. You have to take a stand. We know that we are in the belly of the beast. We know that these people are doing everything they can to make sure that we stay at the bottom. But our people are here for a purpose. I want everybody to understand the United States of America is our home. And there is nowhere for us to run, right? We can't go over to other countries or run back home to somewhere else, right? This is our home. See, these groups that are coming over here, they're coming over here taking resources from us, and when they take those resources, a lot of times they send those resources back home to families, or even maybe take it and go back home themselves. But see, they can do that. They can go back to their native, whatever their native country is. But this is our native country, Black America. This is it. This is where we have to take the stand. This is the last stand. See, we're not an immigrant group that can just get up and go. See, our stand is here. Now, I have said in previous spaces that I think the Black American family should mostly move everything to the South, because this is where the majority of our people are. That way we can protect the majority of our people, because we got people that are just spread out all over the place. And a lot of our people that are in these isolated rural areas, like what we're seeing right now in Colorado with Brother CW, he's out there by himself. See, it's not a lot of us out there. So that's why I'm saying we got to bring our people into this, to fight here. Bring it all back here to the native South where we were slaves. Okay? Now, Newstoter said something very important, that we need to stand up and fight. The people in Mississippi need to fight. Those are our family members over there. Those are our people over there. We need to get in the battle with them. Whatever is affecting Black Americans in whatever state or city or wherever, it is all of our fight, because they're coming at all of us. See, all this stuff that you see that's being done all over is being done to Black America as a family. So therefore, wherever that fight may be, it involves all of us. Because see, I don't know about you all, but I got family that's been out there in California. Now, most of them have made their way back here. Then I got family that's been all up in New York, family that's been in Chicago, so therefore Detroit. So therefore, when you have family that's been all over, that means everybody, the fight that's happening to us involves all of us. See, so therefore, like Newstoter said, the family over there in Mississippi, the Black American family that's over in Mississippi, need to stand up and fight, and we need to also encourage them, and we need to be in the fight with them. So we don't have nowhere to run, everybody. There is nowhere to run. America is Black America, okay? I want you to understand that Black America, we are here to stay. Not going anywhere. I land my plane there.
Appreciate that, Professor. Thank you. We're gonna go ahead and kick it to Terrence. Was up? He must have
Definitely spitting the bars. Definitely spitting the bars. Hey, so I'm not sure if Newstoter in trap or not. You know what I mean?
No, you can hear me, right?
Black majority to come up real quick and break that down for you, Professor. But go ahead, Black majority.
Hey, can y'all hear me? Hey, can you hear me? Okay, because DJ, can you hear what I was saying?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, because I don't know if DJ.
The Matrix or is Newstoter in the Matrix?
No, you must be in the Matrix.
Black majority there. If you come up your mic.
Hey, can you, DJ? You must be in the Matrix.
I must be in the Matrix, bro.
All right.
I can hear DJ too.
Yeah, I can hear him, but like it's like he couldn't.
I was about to say that you hold on. No, that's Ray right there. Ray, you in the Matrix.
No.
Boy, this is, by the way, y'all, let me say this, but this will be the first time I ever say this in a space. Brother Bobo was actually on point there with what he said too. So I'm gonna give the Negro some credit tonight. Hopefully he'll stay on point like that.
Let me go ahead real quick since we got a new speaker. Let me get a Black majority state in here real quick. Go ahead, Black.
I must be in the Matrix. I'm dropping down. I don't know.
Yeah, DJ, you in the Matrix. Hey, shout out to everybody. Newstoter, Ray, DJ. Professor is 1,000% on point. They know what we know. They know what I know. This information is not anything new, to be perfectly honest. When I wrote the book, and then I got online and I started doing research, you see that this has been in our population, in our collective conscious for at least 150 years. Going back to that special field order, we wanted to be separated from these people. They know it and understand it. The Hill, which is they say it's a central left-leaning magazine, just put out a story where they are saying that we need, and they're talking about Black Americans, we need to leave the Delta, which is this Mississippi, Louisiana, Arkansas area, and we need to migrate to Maryland, Virginia, North Carolina, and Georgia. Georgia's the other state that they identified. So this is Democrat propaganda. Now, we do have Maryland on our map, and we do have Georgia on our map. However, the reason that they're suggesting that is because they have that foreign black governor in Maryland. And they assume that if they can push us and quite literally hurt us out of the South, that they'll be able to take control of the South in a much more significant way. Mississippi, we have 40% of the population. We cannot leave that state. We cannot run from that state. We have to actually fill up that state. Like, we literally need to be moving to Mississippi so that we can vote our way into authority and we can get rid of these people. If we leave now, the last time we left the South, unfortunately, it was under terror and tyranny and domestic violence, of course, so we had to leave. Frederick Douglass was sort of advocating against it until he realized that we were under this onslaught of terror. But his feeling was that we would lose political power, and he was right. Now is not the time to run. It quite literally is the time to run into the fire of what's going on down there and try our best. I don't suggest moving to Jackson, just to be clear, but to move into the state of Mississippi.
Hey, Black, can I ask you a question? And I'll be quick on that.
Yeah,
if you don't mind, brother. Okay, you said that, and I understand what you're saying. Get more people down there to kind of bogart your way, muscle your way into voting what you want in there. But I'm gonna be real quick, and I'll land with this question. But why is that not being done with 40% of the population down there already, or with this population being 40+% black?
Yeah, that's a good question. So we have black majority cities in over 1,200 cities in the country. Cities do not have power. We have black majorities in over 100 counties in the country. Counties do not have power. The two things that have power in this country are states and the federal government. And if you don't control the state, you have to control the state in order to change everything comprehensively. Otherwise, you're constantly in a situation like we are, looking to the federal government to put a temporary Band-Aid on these issues, but they're not going to enforce these Band-Aids for long. They may come in, they may do an investigation, they may put in temporary financial assistance, but they're really not going to be there to hold our hands. We have got to do this ourselves. The Mexicans, and I'm going to say Mexican because it is majority Mexican population, they are doing this in the southwestern United States. They are mounting a takeover. It has been coming for decades. We have to do the same.
All right, appreciate that, Black. And I can't argue with much you said there. I do agree. It's just disheartening, like I say, to see in a city like Jackson that's 80% black and it's supposedly the blackest city in America, and it's almost to the point where the people there are completely powerless. It's like they can't do anything, and it's about to get a lot worse if this thing goes the way that these people are planning it, where they can go ahead and these white folks can have their own separate police force. If they thought they was catching hell before, they really don't know what hell looks like. So I'm hoping that they can go ahead and get this together. One of the sisters, she was saying that they must not be voting down there. I don't know if they're voting or not. You would think that in a city that's 80% black, that they would have complete control of all of the political, everything going on in that city. Politics, law enforcement, everything should be, to the police chief, the city commissioner, the county commissioner, you name it, everything should be black in that city. And the simple fact of the matter is that these people are going to go ahead and will and deal and find a way to go ahead and put new judges and prosecutors and everything else, police officers in there, and not a single vote is going to even determine it. That gets back to what Black is saying, that, hey, I guess it's great to have black majority cities and counties and everything else like that, but until you really control the actual state politics, you're still playing behind the 8 ball. So that is That's very unfortunate, and it just seems like Jackson cannot catch a break no matter what they do. So me go ahead real quick. We're gonna pass this around real quick, y'all, in the Jumbotron. Make sure that you guys, we have the newsletter and the actual YouTube channel in there. We're growing that YouTube channel. We're growing the newsletter. Please go ahead. If you haven't, go ahead and subscribe to both of them. Also, if you can, support us on Cash App, $Newstoter, $Newstoter. Newstoter is the largest Black-owned, largest Black American-owned news media curation platform today in America. Support us on Cash App. Once again, that is $Cash App. If you don't have a Cash App, then you can support us on Venmo or PayPal. That's in the actual Jumbotron as well, too. If you're on YouTube, the actual links are in the description. Let me go ahead real quick and kick it back to Volvo. Volvo, go ahead and unmute your mic. You there, Volvo?
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah, I'm here. Can the other speaker go first?
Yeah, we come back to you. Scipia, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna make it really quick. I think what we need to do, and I keep on pounding this every time I come into a space. What we need to do, and by the way, Newstoter, here very shortly, I'm gonna start supporting you monthly as well. But we need to, first off, support our Black media. I mean, as many platforms as we can with our pennies, because when we're doing this and we shoot them stories, they can get the word out. Like speaking specifically about Mississippi, the whole water crisis out there, the Flint water crisis. But back to Mississippi, this whole situation with how the cops are abusing brothers out there. And I think that's a whole statewide thing. And that's closer to the state I live in. I live in Tennessee, where a lot of this stuff is going on. So, yes, I mean, I do agree with you. They have two choices, or two options, fight or flight. And, I wouldn't have a problem with either one of those cases, with one of those scenarios. But at the same time, we do need to, support, our true grassroots medias who can continue to, shine a light, on that situation and keep heat, on the powers that shouldn't be, so at least if anything, we'll shake them up and get them to shake their asses on away from us. So then that way we can at least, try to, repair ourselves. It worked in New York for a couple of weeks until the NYPD got butthurt, and started coming back to antagonize us. It could work down there. I land there.
All right, Scipia, thank you. I appreciate it. Let's go ahead real quick and kick it over. Volvo, you ready? Got your hand back up? You ready?
Oh, yeah. I just want to say, I don't really think it'll go through, because it's unconstitutional. Like, I don't know how that would work. That would create an uproar all throughout the country. You know what I mean? If something like that was to pass or to go through. You know what I mean? But I'm all for it because I realize what our problem is as Black Americans. We got the same problems that we always had. There's white supremacy. That was our problem all the way back in slavery. That's our problem right now today. These white people trying to be superior over us. So, you know what I mean? If they want to separate and go somewhere else and build whatever they want to build, or I'm willing to help build it. The least amount of white people I got to see, the better. That's just how I feel about the situation. You know what I mean? I understand who they are as people. So I don't believe that it's going to be a change or they're going to stop being who they are. None of that. So I'm the type of person I like to just throw the whole shit away and just not be bothered with it. You know what I mean? But as far as the separate police force for whites and blacks, I just can't see that really passing or going through because I just don't. That'll never fly.
Now remember, we talking about Mississippi too now, Volvo.
Yeah, but I mean, like what? So I mean, like if a white guy commit a crime, do you call the white police force? If a black guy commit a crime, do you call the black? Who do you call for the Latino?
Well, I don't think in Jackson you have many Latinos, but I guess it just depends because it depends on what a Latino lives at. I guess if he's living on the black side of town, and you may have the black cops over there, but if he's living on the white side of town, do you honestly think that these white people, if they can go ahead and get this done, that the actual cops that's going to be patrolling and taking care of their side of town is going to be black? They're going to have white cops that's going to be patrolling and protecting their areas for the most part. And yeah, they may have some black sprinkled in there just because of the population numbers that's in favor of black people. For the most part, they're gonna have white cops, policing their areas, like a lot of like the Asians and stuff do. Like a lot of groups have their own people. The Jewish people have their own people policing their areas and stuff like that. That's one thing that black people have said, that we need to police our own areas more so. But you still get the type of cops that you had up there in Memphis as well too. Sometimes you still get those kind of rotten apples.
Well, yeah, I agree with you, but because it's like that in all over the country. In the suburbs they got all white police forces. If you go up in the Northwest, there ain't nobody in Montana but white folks. North Dakota, South Dakota, shit like that. And ain't nobody up there. I mean, it's a few of us up there, but ain't nobody up there. You know what I mean? But for it to be officially on the books, like white police officers only pull over white people. If a crime is committed, you got to say it's a white guy committing the crime, and we know what police car to send the white police. I just can't see that happening. I just can't see that happening. I just can't really see that flying. You know what I mean? Like I just can't see that. You know what I mean? But for me, it's a great idea. I would like to be separate from them. You know what I mean? I don't fuck with them like that. You know what I mean? So anything I can do to help, let me know.
I mean, I feel you on that, but like I say, I think you too have to look at the history, the sordid history of Mississippi. Mississippi's unlike any other place in the country. And the simple fact of the matter that they're on the verge of actually doing this, just lets you know the kind of power that they still maintain down there in Mississippi. Like Black Majority State was saying, until you can actually control state politics, you're still somewhat at the mercy of these people. And I mean, they're not. One thing about the people in Mississippi, a lot of the politicians, they don't make it a secret either when they start doing stuff. This whole thing that Brett Favre, even we talk about Brett Favre and the money that he took from the welfare system and this and that down there, Brett Favre has a nerve to sit up here and talk about suing people. So I mean, it just lets you, the level of disrespect that Mississippi's always operated with. They begrudgingly, they went ahead and had to change slowly over time because of the rest of the country slowly changed over time. But I mean, their change was like at a snail pace. They really, you had to twist their arm to go ahead and do stuff, and they still don't want to do it. And they still want to find a way to go ahead. Like I say, even in a city that's predominantly black, they still want to go ahead and control the city. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see, bro. I think that they have enough power, they have enough clout that they can go ahead and still do that. So definitely gonna keep an eye on it. Black Native, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing good, Newstoter. How are you doing? Hey Ray, what's up, DJ? Black Majority, Professor, No Taxation. Even you, Volvo Rants. I'm a shout out to Ms. Trouble. I'm a shout out to everybody in the room. Speaking about the disrespect that black people have endured living in Jacksonville, they were still paying for the water bill, right?
Yeah, we covered that when that thing first happened, and I'm not gonna say when it first happened, but back in the summertime, we were actually having spaces on that, and yeah, the people still paying for the water bill. Can't get any water. Tammy, sister, I don't know what's going on with your connection, but you're here, you're gone. But if you get a chance to come back. But yeah, Black Native, people still paying for the water bill. People telling you that, hey, you got to take a bath with your mouth closed. Make sure you don't swallow any water. People having to travel 30 minutes away to the towns next door to get water and stuff like that. Yeah, we covered that back in August and everything. August, September, we was covering that. I want to say before August. It had to be like in May. In May, we was talking about that. But you got it, Black Native. Go ahead.
Have the citizens try to get an attorney and sue the water company or whoever controls the water company or get reimbursed?
See, That seemed like that would be a case for somebody like Ben Crump to come down there, and he's always he needs to. I mean, if you can go ahead and you can go to all these other cases, you definitely need to go ahead. You definitely got a case there, so go ahead and go down there and do some good too.
You're right, but if nobody is getting shot by the police or whatever, he doesn't. That's not his thing. Even though he is a civil rights attorney. Also, I wanted to speak about what you were speaking about, the white community having their own police force and the black community having their own police force. Who's supposed to be footing the bill on this? Because you have two separate police departments inside one city. Who's going to be paying for all of that? Where the money coming from? And it'll never be equal. You'll have the white police department having all of the weapons, all this military style gear, and they'll probably just give the black people, some swords and a billy club, and that's it. Because we know, it's not going to be fair and equal. So it's always going to be somebody's getting more than the other. So I would just suggest that they need to get, Brett Favre, and how much he stole, was $5 million or $8 million, around that amount. Get the money from him, and due to the fact that he stole it from the poor people, and take that money, and if they plan on doing this, it has to be equal and fair at the same time. And donate that $8 million to the either the people that got charged for the water bill. He can reimburse them, or he can take that money. If they're going to go through with having two separate police stations, put the money to the black community, and that's my suggestion. Or he needs to go to jail. And I'll land my plane. Thank you.
You welcome. As always, glad to hear from you, sister. Terrence, I know you had your hand up and you've had some connection issues a few times. Did you want to go ahead and try to say something now while you're up here? Or?
Yeah. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Let me pull over real quick. My ass ain't work right now. I think, man, that stuff in Mississippi, man, it's happened in Detroit, happened in all major black populations. Stuff. So I think black folks need to use that to their advantage now. Okay, if they're doing that, let's do this. Because it's like, if you look at the time frame, it's just the 70s babies who not taking advantage of the situation. Yes, there are some doctors and lawyers, there are some carpenters and all that stuff, but we got a lot of ignorant niggas running around here that's messing up for the rest of us. So it's going to have to be a self-policing now. Boycott, not spend no money. Damn what our grandma say, damn what our granddad say. Fuck them. I mean, fuck their opinion right now. Because they still got that old 1940, don't get that white man mad at you. And our parents got that 70s, the 65 disco vibe. Our generation was the crack vibe. You know what I mean? If y'all follow. So it's gonna have to be just like the elders and everybody with the dude that worked at the post office, fire. Everybody would have to say, "Hey, y'all know what? Y'all can calm this down. Let's make sure we get some job applications. Let's everybody got to get involved. Ain't nobody involved. That's basically what happened during my era. They put that drug game in and scatterbrain all of us. It ain't the white people. They doing what they supposed to. Believe it or not, they supposed to make sure they live. It's time for us to make sure we live. Now it's even now because they can't attack like they used to 100 years ago. Now imagine that was 100 years ago, Jackson, Mississippi. Them white folks probably been shooting people, but they can't do that right now. They use legislations, laws now. You know what I mean? They think they slick. That's some dumbass shit because it's paperwork now. That's why we go for reparations. They can distinctively say 4 descendants of slaves. Period. That's it. Ain't no discussion. Ain't nobody else getting on them. So flip the game on them now. I guess everybody can get involved now. That's what they said. They try to pull a whole card. That's a whole card move right there. They just pulling niggas whole cards. Like real talk. All jokes aside, we talk all this shit. This closed schools. You got a black neighborhood with closed schools. Ain't nobody ever like, hey, y'all know what? Let's buy this school. Since the state closed down, get for pennies off the dollar. Niggas don't even think like that. Scared. So let's get it. That's That's all. I land my plane. Shit.
All right, appreciate that, Terrence. Let me go ahead and get to Tammy. Tammy, I know you've been having some connection issues, so what's going on tonight, Tammy?
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, I don't know how to put my phone when it's not connected to like a home internet on the mobile so it can connect. I have to look that up, but I think I got it. So listen, you know that just about all police forces were developed out of the slave patrol, right? Memphis, Tennessee, their first police force had all white, or it had all white on one side and all black on the other, or the black was introduced later. Can't remember. But black people couldn't arrest or say anything to white citizens, the black police officers, right? And then just like in Memphis, they won't be making decisions on their own. They will still report to the white police chief or whoever. If Jackson, the creation of this separate police force, they are picking those two white judges because they absolutely know how each case is going to go. It's marginalized and oppressing a community, and it's not right. Why would you even write that down, black and white area, or mention the separation? It's outrageous. And who's going to pay for it? Who's paying for everything else? Taxpayers. Who's taxpayers?
Okay, Tammy, that's it. You got anything else you want to add, or that's it?
Well,
if that, I don't want to like press you for anything because
no, because I had something to say about that black majority when he said all the legislation or all the criminalization occurs state and federal. And if you know that the federal government back when, right before the Civil War, the deal was that they give states autonomy. That's why the federal government doesn't say much of anything. And the states are going to do what they say they're going to do. Marginalize and oppress black people, poor communities, mentally ill, anybody they don't want to see. Right? I think we waited too long, y'all. They so bold. Legislation is something I'm just started paying attention to. So if you're not paying attention to the legislation, that's where they hide the money, that's where they hide the ideas, and that's where they slide in their corruption.
Real talk. Thank you, Tammy, as always, for contributing to the nice discussion. I'm interested to hear what you got to say. I know you left a couple comments. How you doing tonight?
Oh, hi. I was like doing some research trying to figure out how the hell these Freedmen Foundation of Black Americans, Native Black Americans, how did a town how did they establish a white area in a 80% black town? So I put it in the thing, the demographics, that I couldn't understand how 80% and how the majority of white, so I figured it out. So Trump won Mississippi. I guess the blacks are centralized closer to the west of Mississippi, but you can kind of get an idea if you look at I posted, the 2020 politic. But I have a question, because I've been looking at the posturing of this mayor when everything was going on with Deion Sanders, and why Deion must have seen the tea leaves and got the hell out of Dodge, because remember he had met with the governor when he first got there, and he mentioned something about the leadership in Mississippi while he was there. But do we know, is this Farrell the mayor? Is he
The mayor is Lumumba.
Yeah, his real name last name is Taliaferro.
Yeah, I know. I think his father may have been a Pan-African. Somebody correct me. I'm not sure, but I believe that they have a Pan-African type background as well. I'm thinking.
Yeah, they're Black American though.
Are they Edwin Finley Taliaferro? Taliaferro.
Yeah, I think they changed their name, right?
No, his change name is Chawila Mamba. His birth name was Edwin Finley Taliaferro. Anyway, I cannot find where he was born nor find his parents' information. But anyway, I say that because I've been watching him, and it's kind of like he a deer caught in headlights. I say that because a lot of times we haven't been cognizant of people who do not share our experience being in position to fight our people or white supremacy, and they do not understand the posturing or the political battle or the footing, like get your foot off of my neck, political footing. Like it's like we're always in defense, never in offense. We always having to come and chase what somebody's already established. Like, how can this happen? And you're the mayor in this town. Like, how can you let these people get that type of a reign that they can push for this to get their own? And like someone said, I don't blame the other people. They're doing what they're supposed to do. When in leadership, it's like we're scared to do what we need to do when we're in leadership. But I'm curious to know why I can't find any information about his parents, because we have to be aware of people working with the other side. And we hear a lot about all this jam on the Twitter, but we have people that should be on the ground in these areas playing offense. And it's like we're always on the defense. And I land there. But if someone can help me find out who Mr. Taliaferro is, I love it.
Real quick, I love because real quick.
I just found his father.
Yeah, his father used to be the mayor there, I think, at one time himself.
That's even worse.
They went down. Like what we found out is the father moved down to Jackson, Mississippi, as a city that was going to just be Black foundation. That was the plan, and it didn't happen.
Where's his father from? I'm sorry.
Where is he from?
I think they're from he's American from the East Coast.
Yeah.
East Coast. That's why I seen birth. I was trying to figure out where they were born.
I don't know whether they were born, and I'm probably not the best one to speak on this. However, he moved. The son shouldn't be in that position, but he was thrown into it when the father passed away. But let me just say this for the record, everybody. Just because you have the majority of people does not mean you have power. It's legislation and doing the system the way they designed it, and a lot of us don't even know because they change it up. It's such misinformation in the government. It's such, we gonna win at all costs. And we just don't know how to play like that. But we learning. We definitely learning.
After, I'm gonna say this. I'm sorry, Newstoter, and then I'm gonna drop down. After emancipation, during Reconstruction, we had over 2,000 legislators. Those people had to change laws. Half of these people were barely literate. It's not that we don't know and we playing behind the ball. It's we're not active. And it's like I don't want to say we don't read, because it seems like you just got to know, aware. But you just think about it. That makes no sense, because if you have common sense, because we're thinking during Reconstruction, 2,000 people in legislation. You think they were reading? No, they were advocating. They were politicking. They were like, I know what my people need. And it's like, I'm watching this person, and he's sitting down like a deer in headlights, and nobody thought you were not the right person. But I know white supremacists, and they saw and probably promoted him and encouraged him. But it's like I know I'm in Louisiana, so I understand the posturing of generational people just assuming that they are do something when they're not doing and not doing it for the right reason and for the people. Because for the life of me, I cannot understand how this happened.
You know what? And it's not that we don't necessarily. I'm talking about today. We don't do as much research as we should because of the past. They came out of slavery. Some of them didn't know how to read. Now, reading, writing, and comprehending with all the, what they do, it was probably difficult for them. But we did vote in a large amount of black people. But that was getting around Jim Crow, and white people didn't like being told anything. Any of them, submitting legislation, right? So they did another plan and put us back through their legislation, Jim Crow.
All right. Let me go ahead real quick, because we got some speakers. I want to get the Volvo, Mel, and Black Majority. Volvo, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Yeah, I just want to say, I'm gonna go real fast. In my opinion, with the people down there missing, black folks down there missing, they missing the code of conduct. You know what I mean? Like, if you watch white people, they got a code of conduct. They got spoken rules. Like they don't even need to say it. They automatically know how to just get on code. You know what I mean? Like for me, I understand that the city is old and all that, and the water system is breaking down, but that shouldn't be that big of a thing if they had a code of conduct. For me, if I was running it, that's easy for me to say somebody that's not running it, but I would, we would have a code of conduct to where nobody owns no business here. If you no other race, if you open a business, we just not gonna shop with you. You know what I mean? We're going to take all the money, keep it in the community, put it back in the community because this is our ancestral.
Wait, hold on, Tammy. Hold on. Let him finish talking. Yeah, just let him finish.
No, I'm just saying, like, we would take all the money and we would put it, just keep the money right back in the community. You know what I mean? And that's just would be what it is. Everybody would automatically know we just don't shop with them. We don't spend no money with them. You can open up whatever you want. I can't stop you, but we not about to go in there and spend no money with you. We gonna keep all the money here, all the money in the community, and it'll be like I would open up stuff like public gas stations all over the city, and we take all the profits and we put it back into anything that the city needs. We need to start looking at it as looking at it in a different way, because if we not gonna leave, somebody gotta rebuild it. Somebody gotta fix the problem. You know what I mean? And we know that ain't nobody coming to save us. So it's gonna be up to us. So for me, that's how I would look at it. I would look at it as it's up to us to rebuild this, and we in charge, and we running this shit, and we've been here for hundreds of years. This our ancestral land. We gotta fix it up, and we gotta rebuild it. You know what I mean? And that would run them off. That would run them white folks off. If when you get on code like that, they would go away, or they would have to fall in line behind. Excuse me, I'm getting sick. I appreciate you letting me speak, bro.
No problem. Let me go ahead and let Mel. We're gonna go to Mel, Black Majority, and then we'll get back to you, Tammy. How you doing tonight, Mel?
Hey, what's up, Newstoter? Thanks for letting me speak. Shout out to everybody in the room. Okay, so really a couple of things. I was just reading this article, and it appears that the way this bill passed. Okay, so first of all, there was some redistricting that went on, and they redistricted so that any bill can pass by the Republicans. That's how they set it up. So we know that they always move the goalposts. So we can't completely. I mean, I don't believe that the mayor was asleep when all this was going on. I think he was actively fighting it. And then the people, and I'm scared to toggle screens because I don't want it to kick me out of the spaces, but at least 2 people who are Black voted for this bill to pass. And then one white woman who actually represents Jackson voted against it. So this is really political, aimed to negatively impact the Black majority of residents there in Jackson. And so, and I think too, it's creative advertising, if you will, by them saying, "Oh, it's going to be two different police forces," when really it's not. It's just going to be one that is new in Jackson to rule and run over the Black folks so that they can appoint all that. I think the way the message is being communicated is making it seem like, oh, we're going to have separate but equal, when in fact it's really just put in a brand new legal system that is specific to Jackson and handles the majority of the Black residents that are there. I hope I'm explaining that properly. I'm gonna land right there.
Thank you, Mel. Yeah, you made perfect sense. Thank you. And the fact you said we had 2 Black people that actually voted for that as well.
Yeah, it was 2 people on the that were actually, had the chance to vote against it, but they actually voted for it. Now, and it's kind of too. I love what's the girl's name? I love Clarity. Kind of like the question that she's asking, like, what's the T? But it's the redlining that helped this move along, and it's the fact that the people on the board, my understanding is they don't, they're not directly with Jackson the way the white woman who voted against it is. So it was easier to sway them. And then when we were looking into the water situation down there in Jackson, when I did ask about the mayor, how people felt about the mayor, they said, they're kind of 50-50. So the mayor hasn't just been, like a silver spoon type of person. They were behind him. They just think he's a little immature, and that he could have, done a little bit better. But, he's clearly put in some work because they still have some level of confidence in him.
All right. Thank you, Mel. Glad to hear from you tonight. Black majority state, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Okay, thanks for letting me speak. I don't know how many were in the phone or the spaces when, where was that at in Tennessee? Oh, Mason, Tennessee, when the mayor from Mason, Tennessee was on the line. Sound like an older Black gentleman. If you were in those spaces, you could hear in his voice, oh man, a sense of concern, a sense of worry. He sounded extremely worried in those first few spaces, and then you could actually hear his voice start to pick up and have some confidence. And I really wish we all kind of understood the power and the limitation of power in certain positions. But I came up to say this: if anybody remembers the story about Rankin County. This is Michael Corey Jenkins. This is the Black man who was tased, beaten, and shot in the mouth. And I pray that he survives all of that. But Rankin County quite literally shares the border with Hinds County, which is where Jackson, Mississippi is located. And so you have the Hinds County, which does have majority Black county officials. Jackson, Mississippi is a majority Black city. Hinds County is a majority Black county. Literally, the border kind of goes right through Jackson, Mississippi, and that's Rankin County to the east. That's majority white. It's like a flip-flop situation. It's actually really when you understand, because when I was hearing this Rankin, I didn't know where it was at physically. But then when you start looking at Rankin County and the number of police shootings and murders that the police are committing in that county, I live in a city. And even a county that's got 2 million people, they've got 200,000 down there. I can't even remember the last time there was a police shooting around here. Maybe we get 1 or 2 occasionally. But down there, it seems like that's just a common thing that's going on for a very small population down there. this is where you would think if the federal government gave a damn, the Department of Justice gave a damn, that they would actually be able to look at that area, look at the amount of police executions that are occurring and do something. They don't, and they won't, because no one is there to force them to do it. That's the biggest problem that we have, is the federal government does not care.
Absolutely, you're right about that, Black. Let me go ahead, Tammy. I see you got your hand back up, and I'm gonna get to you. I love. Anybody else that wants to speak, just go ahead and raise your hand. Go ahead, Tammy.
So let me say that's a good point, like George. That we be talking like that they are reasonable, agencies, police officers, and law enforcement. Number one, these are the same people we see killing our people today. So when we ask, how are they doing it? Because they can. They are not, every time I say, couldn't possibly be. They didn't do that. Unbelievable. These are the same people that ought to be took down the number of lynchings. And it still happens today, just in a different way. These are the same people who drug, y'all know the example, right? They do what they want to do because they have power. Unfortunately, some of the people who identify, like we do, want to get paid off of it. Your kid is own. But I was going to say one last thing that kind of got me emotional with this city. They are a little scared, and they have no control. You can blame them not picking up trash, them not doing these things right. You can blame all that, but at the end of the day, they don't have a bit of control like most of the black people in this country. If we had control, we would be receiving reparations. We would be letting people out of incarceration, mass incarceration. We don't have any control. I don't have any because I didn't think about it. I didn't pay attention. I didn't know how the government works, how funding, went. But when you are government and you have the authority to spend money out of the welfare food stamp funds for anything you want, discretionary, it's outrageous. It's outrageous. It's an act that I'm trying to find right now. That the reason why is because in order to have Texas not leave the union, they had to agree not that states could do what they wanted to do, essentially.
Not let Texas leave the unions. Tammy, Texas always talks about leaving the union. The United States never going to let Texas leave the union. So every time they get upset about something, a law or something they can't get passed or get their way, first thing come out their mouth is that they're going to leave the union. And we know that's not going to happen. They're just blowing a lot of hot air. So they say that every single solitary time something happens and they can't get their way and they want to complain and cry about it. But nobody's going to, the United States not going to let any state over here leave the union. So you don't have to ever worry about that.
The first time they got offered, didn't they?
No. The only time the only time you had a state that the states that got far of actually leaving the United States succeeding was in the Civil War time, and that's it. And how did that work out for them? So that's not, you don't ever have to worry about that. They can sit here and say that, but that's not going to happen. Let me go ahead real quick.
Wait a minute, real quick. That wasn't my focus. My focus was the federal government agreed that states could have autonomy.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they do to a certain level. Yeah, they do. They do. We're gonna go I love, Mel, and then Black Native. Go ahead, I love.
I just wanted to say, like, I feel like I'm hearing less about this, and it was more about the there was more fight to or discuss for Deion Sanders leaving Jackson, Mississippi than what's going on now. I even went on some of the little college pages and seen that this is a conversation that they should be having. But and I'm gonna say it's the same issue here in Louisiana that I'm experiencing. I guess organizing, like I don't know who on the ground. It's like here we are again from the outside. I don't know if there's anybody from Mississippi that's in the room, but and like you said, I understand the tired, but that's where the baton of the next person to pick up to kind of take it and help our people win this race. But I'm curious to know, is there anybody from Mississippi in the room?
That's a good question. I don't know if there's anybody. If anybody from Mississippi's in the room, go ahead and give a heart sign or 100 or 100% sign. I'm not sure we have any people from Mississippi up in here, so it's a possible.
You know what? We just talked to people from Mississippi, and they kind of told us their story in that group where we were talking about what we found out. That's what we shared.
Okay. I love that you have anything else you want to add before we go to the next speaker.
No. I just want to say I was listening to um, his response, the mayor's response. And he was told this happened because of the water crisis. And we know that they intentionally create water deserts, food deserts, housing deserts in our community to push these type of things. The less resources, the higher the crime. We know this. And, a plan should have been in place to address the crime because that's what they're using, just like Chicago. And we knew this was coming. Minister Farrakhan has been talking about this a long time, them coming in to create police cities like in Atlanta, police states. They hear our cry for reparations and recompense and repair. They hear our talk of migrating. Do you not think they're going to have a response? We have to play offense. So this is an example. Cop City. This is another example. What they're doing in Mississippi. They hear us. So we have to be ready in our areas. So I just want to say that. And I promise this is it.
No, you fine. I mean, I'm not gonna say, oh well, you talking too much tonight. Don't come back on the mic. So you fine. I love. Let's go ahead and we got Mel back up here, and we got Black Native. Go ahead, Mel.
Yeah, thanks again. And I love girl. Come on, you've been dropping good tea, good insight. So keep on talking. A couple of things. The way this ultimately, I think the covert information behind this bill, which should go into effect on July 1st of this year, but I think there's one more stage it has to go through. I'm still looking into that piece of it, but I believe that the underlying motivation behind this is the water crisis that's going on in Jackson, which just, to make it very clear that the water crisis is not resolved. It's still an ever-present issue. I am receiving some information, directly from the EPA, and so I'll be able to further expound on details, in a couple of spaces later on. But right now, the biggest thing is that I don't believe that this law is specifically in stone yet, and we just have to again recognize that this is really a process of them moving the goalposts in order to accomplish their goal, which is to dominate. There's a bigger plan down the pike about this water, and we just don't know what that is yet. And I believe that's the same thing going on with Flint. That's why that water crisis still is unresolved. We're talking years that this has been going on. So this is a bigger plan, and hopefully we'll be able to avert it. And one last thing, when we did do the research, do that groundwork, they do plan on having some level of protest or something against this bill, but the specific details don't have that yet either. At least I don't. So nothing's all the way locked down, but it appears as though it's close to it.
Thank you, Mel. And real quick, I'll say this because I think I heard them say something that they're talking about that that the water problem. Did I read an article or glance at an article that talked about it may be 10 years before the actual water situation in Jackson, Mississippi is straight. So they're letting you know.
And see, the thing with it is the $600 million was not enough to begin with. And then there's been that.
No, they need like $2 or $3 billion to fix that water system.
Yeah, exactly. And so, and then the fight has been, right now the fight is, well, who's going to control that 600 million? And so this is where all these extra moves are coming in to get for these people to get their hands on that money and then do with it what they want to do with it. But we do know that the EPA is monitoring what's going on with the water, but their role, and this is just, my basic understanding is, their role won't kind of squeeze into, it won't kind of, blend into this law that they're putting in effect. And this is why I think they came up with that law, because then as a state, they can shut everybody out and claim, their state power, etc. And I'll just say shout out to Art, who said defund the police, refund the sheriff, because the plan he was talking about appeared to be very solid and like it would be effective for Jackson. So I'm staying on top of it with the EPA and the water down there in Jackson, and we're just not gonna let this one go. We can't.
Absolutely. And like I said, and wasn't Joe Biden in his State of the Union address talking about having $300 billion for infrastructure? So out of that $300 billion, all you got to do is set aside $2 or $3 billion for Jackson, Mississippi, and the actual water crisis would be solved today. So, I mean, we're going to go ahead and we're going to send more money over there to Ukraine. I know we're going to send money over there because of the earthquake in Turkey, which I don't have an issue with. I mean, that's a humanitarian aid, so there's nothing wrong with that. But you also have humanitarian aid that needs to be taken care of in this country as well, too. So as bad as I feel for the people over there in Turkey, and that is a tragedy that hit those people, the simple fact that people can't get access to clean drinking water, people can't, they can't take a bath the right way and everything else, and they're still having to pay out their pocket for the actual for all of this stuff here. There's an issue with that, so we definitely need to go ahead and we got to go ahead and set that straight. So let me go ahead and before I go to the next speaker, let me just say, guys, that this is Black History Month, and if you can, think about supporting Newstoter on Cash App. That's $Newstoter, $Newstoter. Newstoter is the largest Black-owned Black news media platform today in terms of curation. So these type of stories we bring to you on a daily basis. So we definitely need you guys. We need your help trying to go ahead and supporting us as much as you can. If you got $1 that you can donate on Cash App, please go ahead and think about donating it to us real quick. We're trying to get Ray back up here, so I'm going to need one speaker that doesn't mind dropping now, and then they can come back up here because I'm gonna bring Ray up to co-host. So anybody that can just drop down for a second, we'll bring you back up here once we get Ray. Okay, drop down, Tammy.
Go ahead and drop down, Newstoter.
Okay, well, I'm gonna bring Ray back up here, so y'all can come back up here as well too. So let me just go ahead and get him in here. Because I know he's been having some connection issues.
Can I say one thing real quick?
Go ahead. Well, hold on, Tammy. Let me go ahead because we got some hands up. Let me get the Black Native, and we got no taxation as well too. So let me go ahead and let them go so we can keep it around the room, and we'll get back to you real quick. Black Native, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Thank you, Newstoter. Thank you for allowing me to speak again. Speaking about Turkey, they're over there looting, and they're not, and I understand it, because whenever you're in a crisis, a humanitarian crisis, you do what you need to do to feed your family. But they're not looting food. They're over there stealing electronics. Remember what they said when we had the Hurricane Katrina, and they were showing Black people walking in the flood with TV sets on their back? I don't know if they're going to show that same shit going on over there in Turkey. I doubt it, but they're over there looting as well. So that goes to show you that when you're in a crisis, people do what they have to do. So, but when it comes to Black people, oh no, we're just supposed to suffer in silence. You know what I'm saying? We're just supposed to sit and not take bathe or have our children having rashes all over their body like what's going on in Flint, Michigan, because of the water so polluted. And I want to know if they're planning on having two separate, precincts or whatever is going on in Mississippi. In Jackson, which is 80% black, are they going to do the same thing for the justice system? Because you can't have, just because you have a black police station and a white police station, but you still have the judges all predominantly white, that's not equal. So you got to have black judges as well. So all of that shit got to change. And with that $600 million that the system is speaking about with the EPA, isn't that the governor is going to be the one to pretty much dish that money out? And then isn't it the mayor who's also going to be able to dish that money out? So if they're over here trying to make chess moves because they know that $600 is going to be released to the people, and a lot of it's probably going to go to Jackson because of the water crisis, and they're only 20% of the population, that falls on the mayor. Okay, and he's a black man, and I read up on his father, who was a black nationalist, like the brother DJ said. He was a Pan-Africanist, black nationalist. So I would think, because the majority of the people in Jackson are black Americans, they should get the money. So no matter what these white people are planning and how they're trying to separate themselves and try to, divvy that money, it's not supposed to go down like that when you have a black mayor. And I just want to say this in closing. It's up to the people, the black people of Jackson, Mississippi. If they're going to just sit back and allow the abuse and allow for them to be, taken advantage of, what can we do? They have to stand up. They have to speak out, because I was told that they said the water was clean and it was okay for them to drink. And they were like, well, I'm just glad we got water now, and all this. No, but you can't never trust the fucking people who try to poison you in the first fucking place. That doesn't make sense. So it's up to them. They have to be the voice. They have to say no. They have to stand up for themselves and stop. If they have fear, they have to let that fear go. Because being afraid ain't going to get you paid, and a closed mouth don't get fed. And I land my plane. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, sister. Let me go ahead and get to no taxation. No taxation. Go ahead and unmute your mic.
Thank you, Newstoter. Hi to everybody in the room. I just had a couple of questions. The $600 million that they got, I thought it was explicitly supposed to go for fixing the pipes and the water situation, especially the pressure, because that's what the white folks were complaining about. The white folks had clean water, right? And I'm putting this out there, and I don't know that I'm right, but I'm telling you the story that I thought, because I didn't really keep up with it like I should have, right? But that the white folks didn't have the proper water pressure, and the black folks, some of them didn't have water. The ones that did had poison in it. So it was like, more than one thing going on with the whole water situation. And I will say this, and I would like some clarity from that. And Mel, you say you talked to the EPA, maybe you can clarify. Is that all that $600 million supposed to go to them? And if they needed $2 billion for the infrastructure just for Jackson, is that $600 million coming out of the state's infrastructure money? Because each state got money, right? Is that what they allocated? And if they allocated that, why did they not allocate more? Well, we know why they didn't. But why? Wait a minute. I got two questions. Where's the rest of the money? You see what I'm saying? For the state, that's what I would be asking the state. That's one thing. And the other thing is that we have to understand that this is Black America, right? And this is really another thing that I wanted to say, especially for people in the room. I worked in environmental racism
when I was attached to a research study out of UAB, University of Alabama in Birmingham, in Southern Alabama, and I was down there in Africatown and Pritchard, which is south of Mobile, so I'm at the very bottom of Alabama doing research. And what we discovered was the lead level content in the children and children's blood, but there was nothing we could do because we couldn't take the kids' blood. We just behavior symptoms. But anyway, I say that to say the first thing they do is mess with the water to get you out. And maybe they thought they were going to get more people out, and they didn't. And so that's why they're coming with this new thing that you're talking about, Newstoter, a separate police force, and all that kind of stuff. I don't know, but it looks to me, because this is what's happening across the country, is that they don't want any more cities or towns where there are a large population of Black communities. This is what it looks like. So I know what they're trying to do. They're trying to get them out of there, but and we know why. But I'm just wondering about the money, and I'm also wondering about the water situation down there. And I'm gonna leave it there. Thank you.
Hey, Toter, if it's okay for me to jump in, if you don't mind, sir, just to really lay the clarification down.
Go ahead.
And thank you, Toter. I appreciate you. No taxation, so that's really a good question. And the $600 million, again, that's just a bit of it. And the fact is that money is going to be controlled and managed by a third party. And the reason why that third party was installed was so that, because well, y'all ain't been fixing the problem. So now here's the $600 million after, the water is went to hell in a handbasket. So now we're going to throw some oversight in there. And this is, again, why I believe this bill was automatically put into play, because give it a couple of months or whatever, and then they're going to be able to get their hands on that money and take it from that third party. So that's the case. The $600 million was allocated by the federal government. They still have to be in compliance with what the EPA has laid out, because they have laid out a plan and the actions that the city is supposed to be doing as it relates to the water, and the commentary that the situation is resolved. The situation has just gone back to problematic, but not as bad as it was Christmas Day, when there was absolutely no water. So at any moment, at any time in Jackson, the residents are subject to be put on a boil water notice because the pipes are jacked up to begin with. And I hope that clarifies.
All righty. Let me go ahead and get to Brother McCoo. Brother McCoo, how you doing tonight? It's been a little minute since I heard you in one of the spaces.
What's going on, Newstoter? Yeah, it's been a little minute. I've been grinding real heavy. Baltimore, Philly, right down to Baltimore. But I just wanted to comment on Mississippian Chokwe Lumumba. His father was definitely a Pan-African, but was definitely a B1 Pan-Africanist. He definitely got, I'll say for the, space's sake, allegedly got deleted mysteriously. And yes, a lot of the sisters that were speaking on a little bit on the information, they were actually accurate in their information. His son did take over the mantle after he mysteriously passed. And his son, he is one of those Pan-Africanists that is B1. But his father was in a lot of stuff where, just like I think one of the speakers said before, where they were trying to make certain states black majority, just like Black Majority State is doing now, where he's what he's all about now. And it actually has some key players involved in this, like Wesley Snipes. I think it was either Malachi York or something like that, where they tried to take a couple of states or areas or had cities just strictly for black people, Black Americans. And just like everything, it got co-opted. I think Malachi York or something, he got arrested on some fraudulent stuff or something like that down there. But it was he was his father, Chokwe Lumumba, the father. He was involved with the new generation Black Panthers or the new Black Panthers, and actually he was involved in it when they had actually made Tupac Shakur the president of the young Panthers. A lot of people don't really. I don't hear a lot of people really speak on that. But before Tupac got involved with Digital Underground and those groups that made, like before his first solo album dropped, Tupac was actually the president of the Young Black Panther Party, and he chose to do his music and thought that he could get through to his generation more if he did it through music. Chokwe Lumumba was actually Tupac's mentor, and if I'm not mistaken, his lawyer, entertainment lawyer, if I'm not mistaken, in the beginning. I could be wrong with this, but it's been a long time since I heard this information in detail. But the son definitely is not one of the and I got my quotation fingers up, like not one of the tethers, so to speak. But I think a lot of the people down in Jackson are just like one of the other speakers said earlier, that he's not just mature enough or ready enough or had the same bravery as his dad against those hardcore racists down Mississippi. Because I mean, we know just from history, that Mississippi is one of them hard racist states, and it's when you don't have your kind working with you and you got collaborators working against you, yeah, it's kind of hard. I could see something like this happening, but it's not all his fault. It's definitely not all his fault, and I think a lot of the people in the government, local government, especially down in Mississippi, are being I don't want to say threatened, but that's a different beat, Mississippi, than say from New York, or even Florida, say so to speak. With all the Latinos and Mexicans and all them people flooding that area, Mississippi is one of those beasts where those hardcore races are kind of, the children of those hardcore races are even new age hardcore races. So they got a lot to deal with in cleaning them ranks. And I think Mississippi is one of those states that's going to be kind of hard for us to take over because of all of the old tradition white supremacists and white supremacy tactics that go on down there, and that's kind of embedded in the black people down there. I'm not saying they don't suckers enough, because my man David Banner comes from Mississippi, but at the same time, they kind of like I don't know. It's kind of like you got to be down there in order to feel and see that beast. And I land there.
All right. Let me go ahead and let Tammy go ahead and unmute your mic.
Y'all, so we don't control anything. We don't have the power. Jackson residents, if you know that the president said they sent $600 million down here, right? I think, just for instance, it's not in stone. They only sent them $4 million, or they didn't send it at all. How you gonna know they got it if they didn't send it? The reason I know this is because I searched for funding for 4 systems, and I got hot potatoes. I went all the way up the chain of command, and I got hot potatoes. And I see it in black and white. Where is this money? This this isn't a Brett Favre issue. Every single state does it. We just, who would think somebody would take away from the, the poor? They sent $1 billion, and you spent $500,000 on the poor because you put up all kind of barriers for authorizing food stamps or welfare or whatever else. That money should be used on housing and every other issue that someone in poverty is using or needing. They don't tell us that. I'm still looking for the money. And I know it's here. But when governors, not mayors or anybody else, governors is the head NHIC. They make those decisions. And they can do, it's called discretionary funding or discretionary use. And both of those need to go away right behind qualified immunity. We don't know when money it is. And I didn't know how many millions of dollars was spent. We don't know anything, and they make sure they hide it from us.
All right. Well, Tammy, we're gonna go ahead and let you be the last speaker for the night. I guess we'll go ahead and we'll get ready to close the space out. DJ, did you want to say something real quick before we get ready to close it down for the night?
No, I agree with everybody saying. One thing I would say though, I don't think Jackson, Mississippi is no different from anywhere else in this country. Every state is fucking prejudiced. Some states are quiet about it. Some states are loud about it. They're all the same people. So let's not make that a difference. I think that was part of the conversation that folks was trying to differentiate. Like, Jackson's just the most yada yada yada. Yeah, we know that, but Jersey just the same. Utah just the same. California just the same. You know what I mean? Some states just show that shit at a different level. So let's not conflate. One is different than the others. They all do the same shit. This is the United States of America, so therefore meaning each state is its own country. You can do what the fuck you want. Like Right Majority said, take state power and get our reparations, man. I'll yield that.
I would agree with you normally on most things, but I'm gonna have to disagree with you on that one. I do feel like Jackson, Mississippi, or I do feel like Mississippi has always been the most racist state in the union. And yeah, you're right. All of them are racist, and Florida is racist. The entire Deep South is racist. Up north is racist. The Midwest is racist. Out west is racist. But the amount of black blood that was spilled in Mississippi is far greater than any other state. If we're just gonna be honest about it, I mean, if you could.
Correct. But again, hear me out. You know what I mean? Some are loud about it. Some are quiet about it. It really ain't no different, bro. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a reason that you had a lot of these black people right after the Civil War and after even after World War II and stuff like that, start hightailing it from the Deep South, because a lot of them looked at the Deep South as just the little shop of horror, so they wanted to go ahead and get up out of here as quick and fast as possible. So I get what you're saying. Like I said, and even Martin Luther King was saying how bad Chicago was compared to, he said that was the most racist place he had been at. And that's not to take anything away from Dr. King. I believe a little bit of that was hyperbole as well too. But because at that time, there was no place in the country that was worse than Mississippi and Alabama, if we're just gonna be honest about it. But like I say, certain things don't change as well too. So I see we got a couple hands came back up as we were trying to go ahead and close the space out, y'all, and we got like 4 hands up. So like we're gonna have to catch y'all on the DJ. I don't know if DJ may be holding one later on, but we're gonna have to go ahead and close this one out. DJ, you holding the space tonight? Are you good or what? So yeah, I mean, I'm gonna get ready, y'all, and I don't know. Like I said, I'm gonna get ready to close this out tonight, real quick, y'all, because we've been going for a couple hours, and we started a little bit later than we normally do. DJ, you say you're not holding one tonight, or what?
I'll hold one. I know folks want to continue this conversation, so I'll just say this just to close out real quick too. So based off what we just said just right there a second ago, I want y'all to start checking YouTube and these other places that can post videos, and start checking for the Tether Gang. how some of these folks are going around the neighborhood documenting it and putting it back on the socials. You know what I'm saying? Saying like, look at this neighborhood, don't come through here at night, all this other stuff. But like, we walk through our neighborhood day and night, nobody fuck with us. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, we got to start getting on this shit. And you telling us that like we need to leave and don't come here, but y'all people are coming here, buying up the property, buying up everything, getting the jobs, getting everything. So how does this shit even make sense, yo? So I'm over here arguing with one tether gang. You know what I'm saying? And he over here in North, over here on Elizabeth Avenue, where the Lionsgate movie theater, the movie production facility is going to come. Now, back in the day, yeah, the Seth Boyden was fucking the Carter and shit. You know what I'm saying? Real talk. You know what I mean? But it ain't like that now. It's mainly industrial area where it's like, you know, all types of companies or whatever doing industrial stuff, and you still got some project builders over there, but it ain't what it was back then. So why is you even coming over here knowing you were tethered? You know what I'm saying? Documenting this and saying what you're saying and shit, and we going back and forth with the tether, and you think this shit funny? This shit ain't funny, bro. So we'll come on over to the space. We're gonna talk about that because I'm gonna need y'all to go over to that YouTube and bomb that shit. You know what I mean?
Real.
Trying to lead the group. Trying to close the group, D.
Yeah, we about to close the space down, but he has another space that's about to get ready to jump off, y'all. So we will see y'all tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Everybody be easy. Have a good night. Make sure you go ahead and check out DJ Space coming up as well, too. So I'll see you guys in, and everybody be safe and have a good one.